X has released a brand new feature, and this feature allows people to see specifically where accounts are based. I love this transparency, mainly because of the fact that, everyone suspected that there were foreign actors pretending to be Americans to sow discord within our country. And it looks like there's now evidence of that. So I think this was a good move by Elon Musk. I should note, quick disclaimer, I think this can be gamed through VPNs. So that's something to keep in mind.
It has that button. If you game it, a button shows up.
Right. So there is a little bit of disclosure on that. But with that in mind, let's take a look at some accounts that purported to be Americans, and it turned out they were anything but. American Voice was actually an account based in India.
Oh, my God.
In fact, a lot of these accounts were based in India. Let's go to another one. The account American in all caps.
They're not even getting creative with some of these.
At all. That one was based in Pakistan. And so there were, all sorts of pro-MAGA accounts that were very active on X, and they would certainly engage in all sorts of provocative commentary and, help to paint Trump supporters and voters in a certain light. And this happened on every political issue. We'll go through others. But did you guys suspect that was happening with some of these pro-MAGA accounts?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you can kind of follow this trail of some of those bigger accounts.
Right.
And question, is this really America First MAGA, or is this some kind of plan sowing discord, right? This transparency has been really illuminating, and there's been a few accounts actually that I've been so surprised by. I think it's like Defiant L or
Really?
Yes, because I love that content, and I think it's out of Russia. I think that's where I saw it.
Let me check.
Let me check. I've been bamboozled.
But
they slipped into my DMs
really
just the
love
other day.
It's okay. It says United States. Maybe it was a fake screenshot, just like we saw with the Department of Homeland Security.
Do you think that was
the country or region is based
Yes,
in
I do.
impacted?
You do? Okay, let's get into that.
Okay.
I want to talk
Do we
about
have that
It says
picture
United
up?
States.
It does now. Maybe it was a fake account that was, or a fake screenshot that was sent around, but there have been numerous times where based on X. Yeah, there have been numerous times where I've been a little bit shocked because I love Defiant Alt, love.
So let's talk about the DHS account, because I don't know if I believe the narrative that's being put out now. So once this was rolled out, this new feature, there were a ton of accounts, real people that I'm familiar with, posting screenshots of the DHS or Homeland Security X account. And if you take a look at this post by Gen X Girl, she says, so X activated locations last night, which showed us government accounts like DHS opened and operating from Israel. Then 20 minutes later, X deactivated the feature. And today, government accounts are exempt from the location feature. And so Gen X Girl provides, the side-by-side comparison. On the left-hand side, you see the DHS account based in Tel Aviv, Israel. And then obviously on the right-hand side, you don't see any geolocation whatsoever. At first, DHS put out kind of a cheesy statement to troll everyone about this. All it was a photo of President Donald Trump, making a face, as you can see from the screen. Now, clearly there was no denial there, which would have been useful if the claims are untrue. But after the story started growing and it really blew up, DHS came out with an official denial, which was quote tweeted, where they quote tweeted Nikita Beer, who is the head of product over at X. Nikita had written that this is fake news. Location was not available on any grade check account at any point. Furthermore, the DHS has only shown IPs from the United States since account creation. And Homeland Security quote tweeted that saying, I can't believe we have to say this, but this account has only ever been run and operated from the United States. Screenshots are easy to forge. Videos are easy to manipulate. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It's unclear why the feature was disabled for a period of time after this story broke up.
Well, obviously to cover it
blow
up
up.
And clean up.
I mean, that's what some are saying.
Denial, DHS.
But that's a speculation. We don't know for sure. A few more details real quick. So then, Grok, which, let's be clear, is not always accurate, okay, that disclaimer is also important, did provide some interesting claims, writing that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is headquartered in Washington, D.C., with international offices, including in Tel Aviv, Israel. A short-lived X feature briefly showed the DHS government account as based in Israel, possibly due to IP geolocation or login location, before being removed for inaccuracies. The department itself is U.S.-based. There was also this Grok post. One person asked, is this screenshot real, Grok? And Grok responded that the screenshot is real. It captured X's brief about this account feature rollout on November 22nd, 2025, showing DHS created in Tel Aviv, Israel via 2008 IP, and then it provides the IP address. The feature was paused due to inaccuracies. So I should note that, you know, DHS definitely does have offices in Tel Aviv. It's not based in Tel Aviv. I don't know why they would have offices in Tel Aviv. But anyway, nonetheless, what do you think?
One component, if you bring that screenshot back up from the department, there is no gray check mark next to that screen grab. And conversely, when there was a side-by-side of the one where it says they've removed it, there is a gray check mark. That makes me concerned about the legitimacy of the original photo. Without a gray check mark, there's no verification that that is exactly the Department of Homeland Security's page.
Can you zoom in on the logos? Because the one on the left, if you look at the wording in the bottom, do you see how the Homeland Security is running off the bottom of that circle versus the actual logo? So that right there kind of solidifies my point that that is a fake account.
No gray check mark and a bad replica.
But can't you just tell by the @ that it's the same account, though?
Without a gray check mark next to Homeland Security, that is not a verified account. So they didn't replicate that, in my mind. Obviously, I'm not a digital forensic specialist, have a specialty in it, but that to me does not show that this is the Department of Homeland Security.
I mean, look, I think you guys are making a really good point, and I don't know for sure. I know that I don't really trust our government, period. You know what I mean? They've been known to lie to us about a lot of things. What I will say, though, is for anyone who thinks Grok or any AI is really the end-all, be-all and is giving you accurate information, if it is in fact the case that these images were doctored and, you know, it never showed that DHS is based in Tel Aviv, Israel. I mean, on multiple occasions, Grok is saying, no, these are real screenshots. They're not fabricated. That, you know, the feature was taken down due to inaccuracies. I don't know what the truth is. And the thing that sucks is because of AI and because of our government lying to us, we don't know what the truth is on a lot of different issues. I mean, this is a small thing compared to other real massive issues that impact American voters.
I don't fully buy the denial sent out by that X staff either, because we know right now that Elon and Trump are trying to make amends. There's no way that a staffer is going to go rogue if it's against Elon's interests. And Elon's interests right now have to be aligned with Trump. He's trying to, you know, kowtow to him and ingratiate himself.
But in the same breath, I don't think they ever took it seriously. I mean, you saw the post that they posted. I mean, the way that they're running their social media accounts, in my opinion, is quite hilarious. And I think it's strategic, it's funny, it's effective, because I don't think they thought it was an actual issue. They didn't think people were actually believing it. They posted a meme. It was kind of funny. And then I think they looked and they're like, oh, wait, people actually believe this. And that's when they put out a statement. But I don't think they even took it seriously.
The fact that people bought into it, though, should signify that we are not currently living under an America First regime.
But in the same breath, people buy into everything. If you scroll
not
Twitter,
everything. People are so susceptible to this because right now we see billions of dollars being siphoned off from the American Treasury overseas. That's why people are so privy to this sort of thing.
I think in recent years, and this isn't just during Trump's second term, I think this was certainly also the case under Biden's administration, more and more Americans, thanks to diversified media sources and independent news, are kind of more privy to the fact that there's quite a bit of influence over our government and our politicians by the Knesset and the Israeli government. So that's probably why this story went viral and everyone made a big deal about it.
It also speaks to the uninformed, though. I mean, my immediate, whenever I check anything, my first glance is the check mark. Who is this? Is it verified? Obviously, that's not always going to be accurate. But when I glance at it immediately, that's not real. Where's the check mark? And so Elon's provided that, Twitter provided that as a way for viewers, but it's usually the viewer who is not as well informed that's going to spread that as viral and then be fact checked quickly. It's super disturbing that Grok did not correct it, or that even DHS didn't come out with a more precise statement. This was not our official account. You can see there's no check mark. Please fact check before. But I think there is a meme centered to get to the kind of average viewer. But in that circumstance, and based on what you're saying, especially as people are, suspecting of foreign government influence, and what you had said as a viewer, you're concerned where the U.S. Treasury money is going. They need to be also very precise in their language.
I totally agree with you on that. The other thing that really stood out to me was just how many different political issues are manipulated through these accounts that purport to be based in certain locations that they're not actually based in. Like literally every political issue you can imagine.
The Ivanka Trump account was from Nigeria.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. So this isn't actually her account. It's like a fan of her or someone purporting
but it had
to
a
be
million followers though, so it was a big deal.
Right. So and the whole point of that is to kind of give this illusion that certain issues or certain policies have widespread appeal or support than they actually do. And there was also this really funny back and forth about various Palestinian accounts and accounts purporting to support Israel. So Israel supporters had been gloating about the discovery that several prominent pro-Palestinian accounts on X are located outside the United States, which honestly didn't surprise me because it's not like the criticism toward Israel only comes from the United States. It's pretty worldwide. So I'll give you a few examples. Eaton Fishburger says,
that guy,
I'm not familiar with him at all. He seems lovely. Here's a thread of prominent accounts that have been subverting the United States by flooding X with anti-American, anti-Israel, demoralizing or Marxist content aimed specifically at Americans. Several of them pose as Americans, but the jig is up. So suppressed news, I've never seen them pose as American, but they are very critical of Israel. They're based in North Africa. Then there are plenty of examples of pro-Israel accounts that aren't even based in Israel, but pose as such. So there's a prolific account known as Vivid, which makes it look like they're based in Israel. So take a look at this. But it turns out, no, actually based in India. Then you have the Christian Lebanon account. You would think, oh, this is a Lebanese person who happens to be Christian. No, it's actually an account based in Israel. IDF Babes is located in Nigeria, okay? And the only thing that, in my opinion, really matters is what does the polling say, right? Like, no one should rely on, ooh, this Twitter account says this, and I'm just going to take that as, like, gospel. No, you shouldn't. You should take a look at actual, like, original sources, original reporting, what the polling of Americans happens to say. You can't manufacture support for something that doesn't actually exist. You know what I'm saying? So this is just one example from a September headline in the New York Times. American support for Israel dramatically declines. They're reporting on a Times Siena poll. There are other polls as well. We don't have to get into the details of all of them.
And you know what this reminds me of?
Yeah.
We keep saying that this is a uniparty issue, okay? This is not just a conservative problem. It's also a liberal problem.
Yeah, totally.
The Israeli parliament or somebody or the embassy paid Anita Dunn $383,000 around there through her firm, the SKDK Knickerbocker, to help with this very thing, which is social media seeding, to giving the appearance of support where there's actually none whatsoever. So they plant social media accounts and then have them comment on other people's posts to make an issue seem popular when it's actually not. And Anita Dunn, let me remind folks, was one of the senior advisors of President Joe Biden. She was one of the 3 co-presidents in my mind. It was her, Mike Donnellan, and Steve Ricchetti. They were running the country. 4 years ago.
Yeah, but this isn't going anywhere, right? I think that's why we need to talk about regulations moving forward to distinguish exactly where these accounts are from, if they're legitimate, because we're seeing this not even just in the political realm, right? We're seeing this all over. I mean, nowadays you see so many people online that are OnlyFans girls that are just quite literally AI bots, right? And you're seeing people pay a ton of money. It's some Pakistani dude that's just cashing in on Americans and their lust, essentially, right? I mean, we're seeing this in so many ways. I know of people that do run digital agencies, and they do help promote support for certain issues, certain people even. I mean, even just the idea of buying followers now is very, very common. I can tell. I'm sure you guys can as well.
Definitely.
But I think that's why we need to have a larger conversation about the regulatory issues here moving forward, because AI tech, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's only going to get much, much worse.
I think that's actually, I completely agree with you, but I think that's a symptom and not the cause. I think the cause is a bigger issue, and the cause is where our policy is as a country. And it reminds me with what Khrushchev said a couple of decades ago: we're going to take your country without firing a single shot. And that's what a lot of foreign nations are doing to us right now. They have hijacked our foreign policy or domestic policy. They have bought our politicians. They own us lock, stock, and barrel.
Well, that's quite literally what China is doing. In fact, they have an ancient book, Chinese Warfare, in which it's talking about attacking from the underbelly, right? Not direct hits. It's from below. And that's something that, again, that's why I say we're going to have to talk about regulatory issues, because it's not going anywhere. And in this new era, we're looking at a new way of warfare.
Yeah,
you know, it's not the way our grandparents fought.
Yeah, you're right about
And
that.
speaking of China, and also China, Iran, Israel, all these countries, Russia, I want that badge not as a secondary page. I want that nation badge on the front page of that person's profile, so I can tell if they're a foreign agent in the United States. I do not want them meddling in our country. They shouldn't be here. They need to get out. And it needs to be very obvious. We shouldn't have to go to a secondary page to find out if they're actually one of us.
The KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov talked about ideological subversion and the stages of which, this is like in the late 1970s, early 1980s, where a nation becomes destabilized through communism. Will not come with big, war machines. It will come through ideological subversion, which is exactly what you're talking about. However, I do think with information, the availability of information, this transparency of where accounts are located, they can have any view that they want, so long as we know they're not this American backing that certain subject, right? Like now we know North Africa or India, and it gives people a transparency. And I think Elon Musk and even, any of these other digital kind of foothold creators or owners, people who are using these platforms deserve that information. So we can at least inform ourselves, this is coming from Russia, this is coming from China. And it kind of dilutes that ideological subversion a little bit. So if people so choose, they have the information at their disposal.
I've also become a lot more sensitive to narratives on social media that, in my opinion, very clearly want to pit ordinary Americans against one another by framing everything through this hyper partisan lens, right? Now, partisanship exists in the United States. I'm not denying that. But the way certain things are framed on social media and the way that it's intentionally meant to kind of pit ordinary people against one another, even in instances where there's actually widespread agreement on both sides of the political aisle on certain issues. We need to be very aware of that, because when you talk about some of America's adversaries, they want nothing more than America to be at war with itself.
Correct.
Right? So we have to be cognizant of that moving forward. And, if you're critical of the other side of the aisle, if you are a hyper-partisan, just meet your fellow Americans from a place of grace, as opposed to thinking they're the enemy. You can be as critical as you want when it comes to the power players. Power players are the ones who hold the power. They're the ones who make the decisions that impact all of our lives. But we don't really have a country unless we love and want to protect one another, regardless of what our political beliefs are.
Yeah, one last thing. I'm a huge fan, obviously, of Abraham Lincoln. And one thing that he says will endure for all time, that is, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Yep.
And right now we're, falling victim to that, unfortunately, I feel like.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindy Lee. If you like this clip, please go to YouTube, look for Her Take, and subscribe. You won't regret it.